Hello everybody, I am Scuttles, and just earlier today, Jurassic World Evolution 2 live streams their first ever dev diary for their upcoming game.
Which is short for developer diary, by the way, in case you weren't sure.
And boy oh boy did we get to see a lot of new things today. So, here we are now, and we're gonna look at this again and take a deeper look at everything that was revealed during the live stream. So let's go back to the beginning. Just ignore my little drawing.
Hi, I'm Rich Newbold, Game Director on Jurassic World Evolution 2. I'm here to show you today a closer look at the game, including our realistic dinosaurs, enhanced creativity, and deeper management.
So right off the bat we can see that there's nothing too crazy. We can see that yes, this is an absolutely massive looking map. Now I'm like 99.999% confident that this is just like a big bowl all the way around to make it feel like you're in a much bigger area than you're actually going to be able to build on. But one way or another, it at least looks very big and open instead of feeling like a confined little space, which is a very nice feeling to have. And also another thing that we can notice, if we take a little look right down here by the water's edge, we can actually see some sort of like hadrosaur looking creature. One way or another, it's something that walks up high, sort of like the Parasaurolophus, Edmontosaurus, Corythosaurus, something like that. But you can tell that it's at the moment down on all fours, kind of grazing in the grass. It looks to me sort of like Edmontosaurus, but it could be any number of creatures that we've seen in the game like that. So with that being said, nothing too crazy in this shot, but worth at least noting. So let's keep moving.
Jurassic World Evolution 2 is a dinosaur management simulation game that builds upon the success of the first game released in 2018. The game includes new features, content, gameplay mechanics, and of course new dinosaurs. I'm Adam Woods, and
Hello,
I'm the
Adam.
executive producer working on Jurassic World Evolution 2.
We're really looking forward to bringing players an incredible Jurassic World experience.
So right there we can tell that we get another interesting behavior from the Amargasaurus. I'm not sure if this is some sort of territorial display or behavioral dominance display against another Amargasaurus, which we just can't see off screen, or if this thing's just making a noise to make a noise. But the way that it's all hunched over and weird looking like a scared cat makes me think that it could be some sort of like territorial warning behavior. I'm not 100% sure. That's just the sort of impression I get because I've never seen an Amargasaur bend its neck that way before. So I've got the feeling it's trying to make itself look big and intimidating.
Jurassic World Evolution 2 includes 4 game modes. In campaign mode, players will experience an original Jurassic story that picks up where Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom left off.
They're going to be working alongside iconic characters from the films, voiced by original talent such as Bryce Dallas Howard and Jeff Goldblum. We have our Chaos Theory mode, where players will be experiencing different what-if scenarios from various films within the franchise. We have our Sandbox mode that allows...
So basically, long story short, this is just going to be a bit of him summing up this information that we already know before he gets to the new stuff.
players to be fully creative, and a challenge mode that will test their part building skills.
We now have a variety of locations that the player can experience. Each of these locations have their own unique challenges that the player must face, including their own bespoke weather conditions such as sand and snowstorms.
That's right, folks. What did we just make a video on? How we believe that sandstorms will be making an appearance as the extreme weather event for the desert biome. I could not be happier that we were able to kind of connect some dots to this in the beginning before this was revealed, but it's just exciting to see it make an appearance nonetheless. It looks like an extremely exciting, interesting new events that we'll be able to have to manage and deal with and just see how it affects our park, but I don't know. One way or another, I'm just super excited to see how this will affect our game and our parks and the comfort of our creatures.
Us away from the tropical feeling of Jurassic World Evolution and away from the Islands of the Five Deaths, and kind of really opens up into more of a Jurassic World. I'm Jim Stimpson and I'm lead designer on Jurassic World Evolution 2. We've expanded the range of dinosaurs that we've got in the game now. So
with this frame right here, we can see that there is the return of the monorail up above, as well as, look at this down here, little baby Diplodocus, or not really a baby, but it just looks like a tiny little thing compared to the Brachiosaurus here. But yeah, we've got the return of the Diplodocus, as well as the monorail, and the gyrospheres, but we already knew about that, and we assumed that the monorail was going to be back as well, but there it is in all of its glory.
while we've got land dinosaurs, we have also included flying
And now this is something I've got to say I am very happy to see. Whenever that GIF was released a long time ago that showed the Pteranodons flying around in the enclosure, or the aviary, whatever you want to call it, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit disappointed. Maybe it's just me, but the impression that I got whenever I looked at that was just a bunch of moths scattered around, flying with no real sense of direction or end goal. They were just flying just to fly. They were just buzzing around all over the place like there was a bright light and they just had to go fly towards it. So it is really refreshing and nice to see it just sitting here, resting, perched up on the ledge here, just kind of like reserving its energy for when it actually does need to fly, making it be like a special sight to see, rather than it just freaking out all over the place like a blood-sucking mosquito that just saw you walk out on a hot summer day bearing a little too much ankle.
We've got more behaviours and interactions between dinosaurs in Jurassic World Evolution 2. We've added these in to bring an extra layer of realism.
Now that just
and
looks beautiful. Let's just touch on
authenticity
that and
to
go
our
real quick.
dinosaur behaviour.
We've seen this before.
We've been working really hard on improving the hunting and fighting systems so they're more dynamic. We have group attacks now, so packs of velociraptors will attack their prey. We've also been adding more depth to their social and environmental behaviours, so they'll now interact with the world around them in a more authentic way.
Dinosaur
Okay, so let's just touch on this for a minute. Obviously, as we can see, this looks absolutely beautiful, and it's extremely exciting to think about the possibility of seeing these raptors hunting in packs and going to take down large creatures like this. My only concern is, yes, I do know that the hunting is going to be more dynamic and that it's not just going to be like all three of them will go and stand behind it and chase, but I am a little bit skeptical about the fact that it looks like it could be another situation where every single time they all run up right behind it and follow the same exact animation. I know that it is kind of asking a lot, but I think the reason why so many other people, as well as myself, kind of are disappointed in this is because when you do think back to Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, a game that was made absolutely ages ago, I'll put the date of that up on screen because I have no idea off the top of my head. But back in the day, they would honestly just run around any way that they could, just slowly narrowing in on their target until they could either get close enough to latch up and jump on, or just not be able to make the hunt. And it always made it extremely unique and interesting because every single time that a pack of raptors would go for the hunt, it was completely different. You had no idea what was going to happen, if they were going to be successful, if they weren't going to be successful, if they were going to get close enough to attack, or if they were just going to lose the prey. But it was extremely exciting every single time because they always came from a different angle, they jumped onto a different place, and they just went at it when they finally got there. Obviously, this looks a million times better than J-Pog did, but no matter how good you make these creatures look, it's gonna kind of lose some of that magic if they do everything the exact same way over and over every single time, instead of feeling like real creatures. Obviously, Evolution 2 is doing an amazing step up from Evolution 1 in terms of all the different behaviors and social interactions and everything that they can do, making things more dynamic, yes, but if it's just a smooth animation into this thing every single time rather than being like a hunting unique AI sort of thing, I don't know how it works, I'm not going to pretend that I do, then that will be a little bit disappointing despite the fact that it still looks absolutely beautiful and incredible. I will be happy with it either way, but it would be really, really something if they were unique every single time like J-Pog was. So that's enough on that. I won't dwell on that no longer. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing about it too.
To their social and environmental behaviours, so they'll now interact with the world around them in a more authentic way.
Dinosaur creation and research tasks are now handled by a new staff member, the scientist.
They're going to be part of all aspects of dinosaur creation, from the very beginning to the very end. As part of the creation process, the players will be manipulating the dinosaur DNA to increase or decrease the chance of traits appearing when the dinosaur's alive. And one of these traits might be being more resilient to disease.
With your scientists, you need to be really careful how you manage them. Each time you assign them a task, they get a little bit of stress. If you don't rest them, then you risk them getting burnt out. And then if they do become burnt out, and then you assign them another task, then there is an increased risk of sabotage.
Okay, so there's a lot of information here, so we're just going to kind of break it down into a couple different frames here and look at each of them one by one. So essentially what it's looking like here is that in order to get your dinosaur genetics and everything like that, what you're going to have to do now is actually recruit scientists instead of just having them kind of be there by default. And you'll have all sorts of different people that you can hire to work for you. And every single one will be different in terms of how much you're going to need to pay them and what their different strong suits are, just like, you know, having a real scientist, I guess. Like, everybody has their like different skill sets and everything like that. So as we can see on the right here, you have a maximum logistics score of 3, a maximum genetics score of 2, and a maximum well score of 8. And the scientists that you're going to hire will have any sort of number in between there based on how good they are at that specific field. You'll be able to have 4 scientists at a single point in time, unless you can upgrade this at a later point in time through your upgrade center, research facility, whatever it's called. I don't actually remember the name. One last thing that we're able to see on this screen here is that we can actually find the different traits of your scientists in terms of what they will actually provide you after they complete their research. So for example, Wasim or Wasim, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, whatever his name is up at the top here, you can see that he's just going to give you like a general boost in all of your traits. whereas Charmal will be able to provide you faster research for your research center, and then finally this last scientist here at the bottom is able to provide faster incubation for your hatcheries.
Going to be part of all aspects of dinosaur creation from the very
Lastly, here on the recruitment screen, we can see that you'll be able to recruit at any given point in time a new scientist to your team, any of which will have different traits and strong suits as we have already discussed. And of course, this will all come at a different cost based on how good or poor of a candidate they are for your job. So as you can see here, there's an improvement to stress, faster research, cheaper research, altruistic salary, which I would have no idea what that means unless I read this. Apparently it reduces the salary that you have to pay your employees by 50%, which is actually quite a lot, it seems. And these traits just go on and on down the line, all costing different price tags.
beginning to the very end. As part of the creation process, the players will be manipulating the dinosaur DNA to increase or decrease the chance of traits appearing when the dinosaur's alive. And one of these traits might be being more resilient to disease.
With your scientists, you need to be really careful how you manage them.
If we take a look at this little GUI HUD thing here, whatever it's called, we can see that there's a bunch of new tasks and upgrade options for our different staff buildings. For example, if we take a look down here, we've got a nice basketball court for our scientists. No, not really, but if we take a look up here, we've got storm defense upgrades so that the building is more resilient during natural disasters such as hurricanes, tornadoes, anything like that. I don't know what all the game's gonna bring, but it'll be more resilient to things like that. We can add Ranger Team, we can get better task scheduling, better task efficiency, which is another new one. I'm assuming that just makes them go faster. We'll have advanced scanners, which ties in with the new Ranger Outpost station so that you can actually do welfare checkups on your creatures, as well as advanced training, which looks to be just improved accuracy for their like trank guns and everything like that. I'm not entirely sure, but that's just what I'm assuming it is based off of the little logo there.
Each time you assign them a task, they get a little bit of stress.
Now on this last screen here about the scientist, we can confirm the previous statement that I made about how you can actually increase the capacity of the amount of scientists that you'll be able to use over time after unlocking certain things or researching certain things. I'm not exactly sure how it'll work, but as we take a look here, we can see that now we actually have 5 scientists available rather than the 4 that we originally saw on the previous screen. And this is a neat new mechanic introduced right here as well, where we get to see that stress will play a factor on the scientists. We get to see that stress will actually play a pretty significant factor on the scientists. You do not want to accidentally overwork them. You want to keep them all kind of fairly even in terms of who all is taking on the workload for you. Because if you do overstress somebody, then they can be overwhelmed and actually go off and sabotage your park, as we've seen in the previous games, except this is obviously very different because it's your own scientists coming to do it to you because you overworked them. You just pushed them to their limits and now they're taking it out on you. So as you can obviously tell, that's going to be very fun to have to deal with. But no, like, no joke, all jokes aside, that actually does seem pretty fun.
If you don't rest them, then you risk them getting burnt out. And then if they do become burnt out and then you assign them another task, then there is an increased risk of sabotage.
And speaking of sabotage, on the screen here where it shows that sabotage has occurred, it looks like we'll actually also have guest sabotaging in a ways. It says that there's actually a guest protest going on here. I'm assuming this is supposed to be like the animal rights activist people who come out and are like, just let them roam free across whatever this place is, like Canada, America, North America, something like that. I have no idea. I'm not a geography major, but it looks like this is supposed to be like the guests come in and they're like, don't enclose them and keep them in the cages. Let them run free, even though there's people out there. It'll be okay. It's their land now. You know what I mean? It'll be interesting to see how all of that plays out. But that's just my hunch at the moment, is that they will be able to come into your parks and say like, hey, you need to let these creatures go. And that'll obviously have an impact on your sales and everything, as guests feel like they might be doing the morally wrong thing or something. I don't really know how it'll all play out, but I think it'll be fun to find out. And one last important thing on this screen right here, if you have the eagle eyes and you take a peek over to the left side of the screen, no, not that left, your other left, you can actually see that there is a large pool right here. So we can see that this is one of the aquatic things where we can introduce mosasaur, I don't know what other creatures are going to be introduced, but anything like that. And it's looking like it'll be a large lagoon sort of thing, which we'll see later on. I was wondering, I saw lagoon in the stream, but I wasn't sure what that really meant, but this has got to be what lagoon is. It looks like it's going to be just the large aquatic pools where you'll have all of your different marine reptiles and creatures like that. So I've also tried to just kind of scan over the whole rest of this image to see if we could find any other sort of new buildings or features or dinos or anything like that. And the only thing that I'm really noticing is way here in the background, we obviously have what looks to be the big hotel, but then off to the side, it looks to be the exact same style and shape as the hotels, but just smaller, so I don't know if we'll be able to have like varied hotel sizes. Because I remember in the last game, I did kind of find it a bit inconvenient when you wanted to increase guest capacity and you only were able to place down this absolutely massive behemoth of a building. So maybe that'll be varied, or maybe this is just a whole different building that just kind of has the same sort of architectural style to it. I'm not too sure, but I just thought it'd be at least worth pointing out.
We've also added a new territory system. So our dinosaurs will dynamically create this territory depending on the different things in the enclosures that it might need as part of its environmental requirements.
Dinosaur territory can overlap as well. With some dinosaurs that's going to be fine because we've got cohabitation, so some dinosaurs are happy to live with others. Sometimes as well, they don't like other species of dinosaurs, and when that happens, dinosaurs can fight. And the winner gets to keep the territory, and the loser will go and have to rebuild their territory and find the things that it needs elsewhere. We no longer have herbivore feeders in Jurassic World Evolution 2.
Now, I absolutely love that last little bit there where the Triceratops gets beat and he just kind of hangs his head down in shame. He just knows he's been defeated and just lets out a little sigh of defeat. It's adorable, kind of sad, but it's adorable, and I know you love it too. But yes, dinosaur territories. So some creatures, as it said, will be able to cohabit in enclosure together. As we can see here, I'm assuming the way that this works, it's basically like out in the wild in today's world where you'll have like competition for resources. So as we can see in this frame right here, we have one herbivore that feeds from way up high in the trees, one herbivore that feeds from like the medium range, and one herbivore that feeds from the ground. So they'll all get along as they're not competing for the same food sources. Whereas when we slide forward a little bit, we can see that Triceratops and Stegosaurus, they both eat from the ground, therefore they're competing for resources, and they will be more likely to have a clash with one another and fight over the territory, unless they just have an absolutely massive exhibit where they both can be happy and just cohabit one massive enclosure together. At least that's what I'm assuming. Also, yes, return of the Corythosaurus right there. I'm also not really sure if this is even worth noting, but there is a new fence over here. At least, I believe it's new. I'm pretty sure we've only ever seen the basic, like, heavy steel one with the red bars on the bottom. This looks to be more of like a light cable fence. So just how I point that out there. You can get mad at me if, if that was already obvious, but yes, it's there. You're welcome. Okay, I keep trying to move on, but I just noticed one last thing. It looks like we'll actually also be able to change the look of our ranger outpost stations, unless this is just something totally different. But if you take a look behind this Triceratops right here, we can see some sort of like green, rusty looking box. And if I kind of slide it back and forth, oops, you can see that, like, this is all I saw at first, and I was like, what is that? But then when I brought it back here, I noticed that there's this big white shiny thing next to it. So I'm assuming it's another one of those outpost stations. Could be something different, but I'm just gonna assume that the safe bet for now is another ranger outpost station that we can also just kind of customize the appearance of.
Or feeders in Jurassic World Evolution 2. What we've replaced it with is paleobotany.
We've reimagined prehistoric plants that the player must utilize to feed their herbivores within their territories.
Each dinosaur will want different things, so it allows you to create a bespoke enclosure for your dinosaurs. If it's just one species in there, then it's very easy to create that. But if you have two or more, then there becomes more of a puzzle element there to creating this wonderfully unique enclosure for these different dinosaur species to live in.
Here we get a bit of a look at the new Torosaurus. It looks like it's going to be pretty similar to the one that's already in the game, that's already been in the original Jurassic World Evolution, but we can also see them bring out the environment tool to paint a bit of foliage around here for them, which is a nice little feature. It appeared as though there were 6 different types of foliage here that they could use, unless there can actually be more unlocked at a later point in time. Another thing that we can see on this little side menu right here is that there is a fountain. So obviously this is meaning that there's a decorations tab, but it'll be interesting to see what all decorations we have, because we definitely never had no fountains before. So that is apparently something new that'll be introduced in the game, and there'll probably be a whole plethora of different decorations and hootie whatnots that we can place around our parks to spruce it all up and have it looking all snazzy. Also, I would just kind of like to point out that there is a cactus growing through a rock back here, and I think that is a beautiful thing. Okay, next up on the list we have this beautiful exhibit with some brachiosaurs that actually look really nice. I've got to say, I've actually liked every single skin I've seen so far in the brachiosaurs. Some of the skins I see on the creatures are kind of like, meh. I could kind of like care less about, but these brachiosaurs one have actually all looked very good to me. I will just mention that real quick just because, I don't know, I just feel like talking about how pretty they look. But the real reason why I stopped on this frame, if we take a look down here, quick little sneaky peeky, we can see that we also have the return of the Chasmosaurus, a beautiful little creature down here.
One species in there, then it's very easy to create that. But if you have 2 or more, then there becomes more of a puzzle element there to creating this wonderfully unique enclosure for these different dinosaur species to live in.
We've also introduced new guest interest groups in the parks as well. So the different types of guests will want to see different things in your parks. So we have general, we have adventure, we have nature and luxury.
Another little new tab right here. This is where we had the new deeper guest management features. So for example, you can see that we have the 4 different factions of guests. We'll have the general guest, the adventure junkies, the nature lovers, and the luxurious ones in the parks. Funnily enough, they have the least amount of money, or they're tied for the least amount of money. We can see that each one has 4 or so unique aspects that they want to come to the parks to see. So for your general guests, they just want to see lots of dinosaurs, lots of viewing galleries. They want to see your aviaries and they want to go to the innovation center. So yes, it's as it sounds. They're just a general thing. They kind of want to touch on everything, just a teeny tiny bit. Then if we move on to the adventure junkies, you can tell that it'll be a lot more risky. So we'll have the people that want to see the dinosaurs that have been in the most fights. We'll get right up close and personal with a bunch of different tours. The ones that want to see the lagoons, aka they also would like to go and see those giant marine reptiles, and also ride around in the gyrospheres, which kind of feels like the same thing as a tour to me, but I won't harp on that too much. And then of course the list goes on. It's the last 2, but you guys can read. It's nothing too exciting.
Carnival, you'll have lots of adventure guests. So when you place down an amenity, you can tailor that to be more interesting to your adventure guests, and by doing that you're going to make more money.
Alongside the deeper management that the guest interest groups will bring, the players will have an opportunity to customise the look and feel of these guest buildings.
We've got a modular system that will change some of the models on it. You'll be able to change the colour palette.
Now, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know how to feel about the whole skin going on here with the Rex, but I mean, I'm sure it'll grow on me. The more I look at it, the more I kind of think like, it's not too bad. But I guess it was just like an initial shock thing. I don't know. You guys will have to let me know what you think of all the skins so far, because so far they're kind of throwing me for a loop sometimes, but some of them I will admit do look beautiful. I've also got to say, I do think it's very refreshing to see how many different building options we have, all for the same sort of building. We can just change the entire style, the entire aesthetic of the building, all while it serves the same purpose, just so we can kind of have different sorts of themes within parks to help set them out from one another and make them all stand out and be unique. And I will also add that we do have these really cool looking little like light displays, I'm assuming they're lights, but I honestly have no idea. But they look like just little sort of like pedestal things with like a center column down the middle that could like shine lights for nighttime, and I don't know, I just want to talk about them because I think they look really nice.
Some of the models on it, you'll be able to change the colour palette so you can make it feel very unique.
Within the new environments, players now have a range of natural scenery items and surface textures that they can use to further customise their parks.
So here we can see that we will have a ton of more decorations than we did in the original game. I mean, just for starters, we have, what's this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that's like at least 15 here, plus it scrolls down to even more. We have the return of the Pachycephalosaurus. If we move on to the next scene here, we also have the return of the Sticky Moloch, or actually, no, is this Dracorex? This might be Dracorex, yes, okay. So return of the Dracorex. Sticky Moloch, I'm sure, is going to make it into the game because it's like a Jurassic World icon now, thanks to Fallen Kingdom. Also in this frame with the Dracorexes, if you take a look in the bottom here, we have tons of different dirt palettes, just all sorts of different dirt for this whole desert looking area. And lastly, one final feature that you may or may not have noticed on this scene here is if you take a look at right here underneath, well, you can't see it, let me stop moving the mouse for a minute. Okay, if you take a look right here, you can see that we now have more options in terms of the radius for our brush sizes and everything. We are only about halfway to our maximum size, and if you look, the brush is kind of massive, so it looks like we're going to have a lot more variability with the size of the brushes that we'll be able to use. Because before, if you don't remember, basically all 3 different sizes that we only had 3 options before. All 3 of them basically were identical. There was a small one, a medium, and a large brush size, of course, but the fluctuation between the 3 of them was so minimal. So it's nice to see that they have improved the customization tools for terrain and everything like that as well.
Customise their parks.
Alongside the different ways the players can change the appearance of their parks and their environments, we've also been looking in the ways the player can change the appearance of their dinosaurs.
What we've added in game is very complementary to the different environments, but as a player, you know, we're going to leave it up to you. You're going to be able to do what you want to do and have the dinosaurs look the way you want them to look.
So if we take a look here, we just get to kind of take a quick peek at 3 different skin alterations for the Velociraptor, all 3 of which I think look absolutely gorgeous. And there's really not too much else to point on here. I think that this is a lovely looking fence, this nice like pastel-ish greeny blue sort of color back here, and that's really all there is to it. Just admire the Raptor's beauty and be happy about that. So after each of the developers kind of touch on what they're most excited for with the release of this new upcoming game, we get this one last final shot of the Innovation Center at nighttime before it closes out. And so yes, that is it folks. I hope you enjoyed this one. So we got to see 5.5 minutes of just jam-packed content information today. It was a beautiful day to be a Jurassic World Evolution fan. It's a beautiful day to be a Jurassic Park fan. And that's gonna have to do it for me. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed this and would like to see more little analysis videos like this. I know I haven't really done too much like this on the channel before. I've just kind of addressed news rather than analyzing and doing things like that. But I don't know. I just thought it seemed fun. So let me know what you guys think. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this deeper look into Jurassic World Evolution 2, and we're thrilled to be showing you even more over the next few weeks and months.